we struggle maybe more than any other time of the year with the exact same thing that the Israelites constantly struggled with, which is idol worship. The main thing, the way that I always define idol worship, it is giving something your mind's full attention and your heart's full devotion. And we do that a lot during the Christmas season. It can be things that are honestly very good, but for some reason it gets our mind's full attention, our heart's full devotion, or it's things that are bad that aren't really what Christmas is about that gets that exact same attention and devotion. And sometimes those things can cross into being bad on both accounts. Because even though there's something that was created to be good and is in every way what the holiday season about, sometimes we turn it into an idol because it becomes the tradition, and the tradition becomes more important than the reason behind what we do. And in this story, and what we're going to kind of explore throughout today, this is the primary problem that the Israelites faced. They were coming out of Egypt into what was going to be the promised land, and God was going to create in them a great people, but they struggled with what that was supposed to look like because there were times where they missed being in Egypt. There were actually times where they missed being in slavery because their decisions were at least made for them in a way that they were comfortable with at the time. And so what happens in our story today leading up to it, we're going to find that this is right when the Israelites are coming out of Egypt. This is right when Pharaoh says, finally you can go. If you've seen the movie The Prince of Egypt, it's this great moment where millions of people are filing out of Egypt headed towards the promised land. And the way that God guided these people was through a pillar of cloud and fire, is what Exodus calls it. And so in Exodus chapter 13, verses 21 through 22, we're going to see this cloud of fire, and we're going to see it do a few different things. The first thing we're going to find that the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire does is it lights up the darkness. Usually when you give light and you can finally see everything that's going on around you, that's when you start to finally feel okay. And so this was a comforting thing for the Israelites because they had a long way that they were going to go. And so the second thing I think is very important that this pillar of cloud and pillar of fire does for the Israelites is it protects them. He wants the Israelites to know that this is not just something that's going to light up their path. It is something that will defend them against everything that's on the outskirts. But also, maybe most importantly, is it gives guidance. So we see from this story, with the pillar of cloud and fire leads them to a mountain. They follow it all the way up to Mount Sinai. And then on top of Mount Sinai, this is most famously where they received the Ten Commandments and the law. And so it wasn't just like MapQuest guiding them where they were supposed to go. It was also something that was going to teach them how to live. They needed to figure out what it was going to be like to be dependent on the Lord. Because if you've ever had one of those moments where you're absolutely free, at the beginning it seems great, but then it becomes terrifying, especially when you don't know what's in front of you. God is supposed to be the one that's guiding them every step along the way. And so the pillar of cloud and fire was meant to do that for them from the time they left Egypt until they arrive in the promised land over the course of 40 plus years.